Hello everyone, welcome to MwM Unfiltered episode 4. Well, do I have some news for you all? Earlier this week, it was announced that Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema have a new deal with Embracer Middle-earth Enterprises to make new films based in Middle-earth. Now, I'm not going to go over the official article on this. If you type New Lord of the Rings films or New Lord of the Rings films from Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema into your browser, if it's done its job, it'll bring it up for you. But what I'm going to talk about here is that, well, what this means for the rest of Middle-earth related media. So we just got Rings of Power Season 1 from Amazon. And Amazon has the rights to make TV shows from Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, The Appendices, and some smaller other stuff. But this means that there is going to be competition for Amazon. And I think for Rings of Power, that should be a good thing, because then that means that if there's somebody else making Middle-earth related property that potentially can make more money than you, that can draw in more people, that will be a higher incentive for you not to mess up. I wasn't as critical of Rings of Power Season 1 as I think a lot of people were, but they really need to pick up their game. They definitely need to pick up their game. There were lots of mistakes that could have been fixed easily, so they're not going to have room to make any of those mistakes, it seems, with Season 2, if we're getting films by that point. Now, Rings of Power Season 2, I'm not expecting to come out until a year and a half, 2 years from now. And in regards to these new films, when will these new films be coming out from Warner Brothers and New Line? I would say about the same length of time from now, 2 to 3 years. But I'd be willing to wait for longer. And why do I say that? Because I don't want Middle-earth related movies to get into this like whirlwind of factory filmmaking. I don't want them to be films designed by a committee to be made to put out and to make money. Now, of course, every single movie is there to make money, but I don't want that to be at the expense of giving care and quality time to make it a very good film. And of course, that comes to who will be making these films. Who are the directors going to be? Who are the writers going to be? Who's going to be acting in it? We don't know that yet. And even Peter Jackson and the filmmakers of Lord of the Rings, they commented on it and said, we're just going to have to see what the studio wants. We're going to have to see. So we might see Peter Jackson return in some sort of role in making 1 or 2 of these films. We'll have to see. But what are these films going to be about? So, as I said, these studios are trying to make money. That's one thing. But that doesn't mean that you can't also have the care and dedication of fans of the franchise that care about the source material making these films. And if you're making new movies, and it's the same companies that made the 6 original movies, the 3 Lord of the Rings films and the 3 Hobbit films, I would say I'm expecting for them to do some type of movie that connects itself to those films. They're not going to do a movie that is completely distant from characters in those movies or certain plot points in those movies, because people don't know what they are. I know people like me and other Lord of the Rings fans, Middle-earth fans, in the Tolkienite fandom, whatever, we know about those stories, but most people that are going to be watching the films do not. And when you're making films, it's not a very good idea to focus on one group of people. You can do that if you want, but if you're going to make the most money as you can, you're going to try and make it for everyone to watch, for everyone to enjoy but you can do that, folks. What I'm not saying is that should come at the expense of the source material and doing it right. That is not at the expense of doing it right. I don't believe that at all. So I don't want people to use that as an excuse going forward. So what I would say is this: I would not put it out of the question that we might get everything that I say from this point forward, guys, is purely speculation. It's nothing official. Nobody has announced it. Don't think that I'm giving authoritative statements. I am just speculating from this point forward. I would not put it out of the question that we might get some type of Aragorn prequel project. Because that would, of course, he would be played by a different actor. We're not going to see Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn again, which I think is a good thing. He's too old now, and I wouldn't want that pressure on him. He did a great job in the movies that he was in. It should just stay like that. I think we could have a different actor playing a younger Aragorn this time around. But, I mean, for me personally, like, I would want it to be rated R. I think that would be really good because they could do more things that the other films couldn't really do. But again, since they're trying to reach the most people, in that case, we would probably get a PG-13 rated version for the theaters and an R-rated extended or director's cut. But what about the setting? Well, Aragorn's been around the block for a while, so they could do a couple of different things with it, but I think it would be interesting to see him in Mordor. Now, we don't know all that he did in Mordor. Like, it's pretty vague on what we're told that he did. So they would have to make up some original stuff in that regard. I'm not opposed to original characters. I don't mind original characters, as long as they don't change something about the canon characters. You can have original characters in it if you want, as long as they aren't as more important than the canon characters, as long as they don't outshine the canon characters, then that's fine with me. You can do original characters. I'm not opposed to that. So that would be like something similar to this, something that would connect to the Hobbit films, the Lord of the Rings films, in the minds of the audience. For us Lord of the Rings fans, it won't make a difference because we already know all that's going on. But for the normal audience that doesn't know about this other stuff, that would probably be that I can imagine them as a company, as a studio, making that move. It's the more of like the safest financial move instead of jumping into another story. Now, whatever that other story is that isn't connected to the Lord of the Rings films or the Hobbit films, that it might be awesome, but it would be a riskier move, and these studios are not fans of taking risks. So I wouldn't expect that. But it always comes back to what they can and can't do. From the Tolkien estate, the rights, whatever. If they get permission to do more things, which I'm sure they're going to try and do, I would be fine with them doing separate films on different stories and places throughout the Middle-earth timeline, throughout the whole world of Middle-earth. I don't really want another trilogy. I don't want another saga. I would be fine with standalone movies that are connected because they're in the same realm, like they're in Middle-earth. But I don't really want another trilogy. I don't want a, like, Middle-earth cinematic universe. I don't want that. I mean, if they go for it and they do it right, then great, but I really don't want Middle-earth to become what Marvel is, to become what Star Wars is. No, thank you. I want it to be on its own, doing a different thing. That's what I want. But you all can comment down below what you think of this announcement and what you think about what they're going to do going forward. So, with that being said, let's move on to some other topics real fast before I conclude today. The MCU. I'm still thinking about whether or not I'm going to do an MCU ranking for this year. I have not done an MCU ranking at all. The closest thing I've ever done to that was top 5 MCU films and bottom 5 MCU films. But that was back when my channel was first starting up, and it's changed. But my top 5 has changed. My bottom 5 has changed because we have new movies and I think differently about a couple of different films. So I could do a full video going through it and making it very technical, super edited, or I could just do an MwM Unfiltered episode where I dedicate it to talking about the MCU and ranking it. I might do the latter because that would allow me to go a bit further into what I think about each movie and not worry about, cutting it short because of the sake of editing and all that. But we'll see. So I might put up a poll to see if any of you would want to see that happen. But with more films coming out, I would like to talk about a particular movie that's coming out pretty soon here. And that is the movie 65. Now 65 is a sci-fi horror film with Adam Driver. And it's essentially about time traveler. He time travels to Earth 65 million years ago when dinosaurs were around, Cretaceous period. So it looks interesting. I'm happy that they are doing another movie that's not connected to the Jurassic Park franchise about dinosaurs. And I think, unfortunately, the Jurassic World movies fell into the category of films with animals that go a bit too far with the, oh, like, don't harm the animals, they're not vicious, they're not predatorial, they're just victims, they were just backed into a corner, they didn't know how to react, they're just scared. They went too far with that, of sympathizing with the animals, but this movie does not look like it's going to do that at all. The dinosaurs are a threat. From the trailers that we see of this movie, the dinosaurs are a threat. So, I'm excited for it. I'm not going to make time to go see it, but if I have nothing else to do and I have time, I might go and see it. I've never seen a film in theaters that even could be connected to the horror genre. I know this technically, you could say, okay, it's not really horror, sci-fi horror. It's kind of a horror movie in the same way that The Quiet Place is a horror movie. People that made The Quiet Place are working on it. So I think it'll be decent, at least, but what I might do is, because I'm not so sure, I might wait to see some reviews on it, IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, what they think about it, before I go and watch it myself, if I do. Besides that, there isn't really much else to say right now. Eventually, we are over halfway through Bad Batch Season 2, so whenever that is done, I'll give my full season review on that. But that's all for now. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and please remember to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more content about movies. That's all for now, and I'll see you all in the next video.